Cocktails by Kelvin. I want to thank you all so much for being here today because you're here to address an important issue, and that's the protection and the return of missing black girls. This is an issue that requires so much attention, yet receives very little. So your presence today means everything. I'd like to thank the media so much for the time and attention you bring to this issue and for your presence today. But we'd also like to remind you guys this is an issue that's going to require not only our support, but the support of our family, our friends, and the entire country. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you, Ms. Debra Kell-Hill. Thank you, Ms. Esther Davis. And thank you, the National Council of Negro Women, for what you're doing to contribute to this cause. I hope you have a fantastic night. We hope there's great conversation. And we pray that our efforts together can help the support and the bringing back of young black girls. Thanks so much, and you all have a fantastic night.
Next, I have my personal friend who I know has worked with trafficking for years and has made a personal compassion for herself. She does have a young daughter, but it's not why she got into it. She was a parole officer, and she actually started working with a house that rescued young people. And now she's an 18-wheeler truck driver. Can y'all believe that? The smallest thing in here drive the biggest car. Come on up here. This is Miss Beverly Pipkins. She is CEO of The Real Promise.
Thank you. So my name is Beverly Pipkins. I have an organization. It's The Real Promise. And how I got into this is, so I did about 13 years for the Department of Homeland Security. After that, I went to parole and I became a SISP officer, which is superintendent supervision, meaning everybody that's done heinous crimes came through this particular case. And after that, I became a sex offender officer, and so I did a lot of like undercover looking for predators. What I noticed was that the kids were getting younger and younger. Something else I noticed was that I wasn't worried about my daughter, because they was getting little boys on my case. Young boys. So, and I kept thinking, what can I do? Can I do something different? Can I do something? And so a lady called me and she said, hey, can you come over to, I worked for an organization called Promise House. And the lady said, well, can you come over here and run this human trafficking, build this human trafficking department? So I went over, I had raise your hands for me, can you have us? I got a group of my friends to come and work with me, and she my counselor. But however, she's a life coach, mentor. So we need people like this to stay in contact with people that, you know, they're not charging you on the legs to help you out. However, I went to Promise House, and what I noticed is Promise House wasn't a faith-based organization. I needed to work in a faith-based organization because some of the kids that I rescued, these kids were like 13, they've been on the streets since they were 12 and 13. When I get them, they're 17, 18, so they're becoming young adults. At this point, I'm grown. This is how they talk. I'm grown, you can't tell me what to do. So they have that kind of attitude, but they've been beat up by the streets, they've been beat up by life, addicted to drugs, and they can be some of the worst people. They can be some of the most manipulative people. Yeah. So if you're not in it for, if your heart is not in it, you won't do good in this thing. And like Stafford said, I had to go to the trenches to get these kids, and I had to try to convince them to do what's right. So McDonald's and Home Depot partnered with me. A guy named Willie Jones was the general manager. And I just went to him, I said, man, if you would just give these kids a job for me. And he was like, okay, come here, bring them up here, give them a job. Are they your kids? So I'm like, yeah, they're my kids, they're living with me. So they would give them a job for me. The problem was, they're working 40 hours and their paycheck is $400, $500. They're gonna go make $400. They know how to make $4,000 or $5,000. So the hardest part of my job was to teach them how to do it the right way. So now these kids have been disconnected from their families, so they don't have birth certificates, social security cards. So I'm trying to get that. I ended up changing my whole career. I jumped on an 18-wheeler so that I could use my own money to fund it. I mean, I was begging people. I was friends with the governor's office in Austin. I was friends with people, and I was like, hey, I'm going to start my own organization. And she would always tell me, yeah, there's no money in it for you. But she would call me to go help somebody. So I always go help her friends. So I was like, why is it money in it for them and there's no money in it for me? So I called one of my sorority sisters, and she helped. And I started a nonprofit organization called The Real Promise. And like with Stafford, I need y'all money. However, I started this organization so that I can take these kids and give them a social security card, birth certificate, so we can get them real jobs. They needed GEDs, nobody graduated from high school because they've been on the streets since they were 12 or 13. But I wanted to stand up here and I wanted to talk to you about some of the things that I've encountered. Real story, I want to be transparent. And I had a young lady that I rescued from McKinney Bottom area. And when I rescued her, the chief of police daughter took her to the trafficker. So these are the people that are supposed to help her. The chief of police daughter took her to the trafficker. So I ended up rescuing her, and to this day, some of these girls still call me like, hey, Miss Beverly, thank you for saving my life. And the state couldn't pay me enough money. But when I get a phone call from a kid that says, hey, thank you for saving my life, and they're doing everything right, that's my paycheck, that's my reward. And I had another young lady from the same area, she was white. And her dad and her brother was a trafficker. So I rescued her, we were doing a great job with her, and the holiday season came around. And all of a sudden she was like, she saw all of us, going home for Thanksgiving. She was like, now she lived in a safe house with me, so, we made sure that they had all the things that they needed. But she was like, she was missing her family. Now mind you, your dad and your brother is your trafficker. How could you possibly be missing them? It's in my head, how can you possibly be missing them? I did everything. I would take her cell phone and get her a new cell phone so that they wouldn't reach out to her. They would just keep finding ways to find her. And she ended up going back. She turned 18, so she was in our home until she turned 18, and she went back. Yeah, that's real heartbreaking. And another young lady that I got from Wichita Falls, she was from Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. The guys were from Dallas. And I don't know if you know about the whole grooming process. This was a whole family. The mother was in on it, the dad was in on it, the brothers was in on it. And she was talking to one of the brothers as though they were in a relationship. However, he was grooming her for the older brother. So she thought they were in a relationship. She was like, yeah, I want to go to Dallas, I want to go to Six Flags. And so he was like, well, you talking to my brother lives in Dallas, he'll take you to Six Flags. He took her to Six Flags away. He passed right by Six Flags and took over to Harry Hines. And I was listening to a recording where the mother was talking. She was like, excuse my French, but she was like, take that bitch to the truck stop on 20 in Bunnyview. Yeah, I think it was Bunnyview. You'll make a lot of money out for her over there. This is the mother. And so he had her he put a gun to her head, made her get out the car and say, hey, this is how much money you gotta bring me back. It was like, I think she said she had to bring like $2,000, $3,000 a night. They drugged her, and she had been on the street, she was 13. Her best friend actually would have her run away. So parents in here need to know that within 24 hours of your kid running away, they could be in the hands of a trafficker. So that's something to think about. But something that Ms. Stafford talked about was the social media. Most of the guys were kind of coercing them out of the house by their social media, in their DMs. and they give them extravagant things, you know, make them think, hey, let's go shopping, let's do these kind of things. And before you know it, they're human sex trafficking. And it's a lot of different trafficking. It's just not sex trafficking. It's, you know, labor trafficking. It's a lot of things, but I specialize in human sex trafficking. I built a room onto my house because when I left that organization that I was working for, I couldn't house them anymore because I wasn't working there. So I built the rooms onto my house with a full bathroom and everything because it was going to be an emergency shelter only. So I needed to look for people like the Stafford and look for, you know, police, and, you know, to ask for help. So the young lady that I'm talking about that wanted to go to Six Flags, she actually turned 18 and, I mean, she cussed us all out, the whole staff. Now, we had helped her, and I went to my church and asked my church to give, she was on probation. So I went to my church and asked my church if they would do anger management for her so that she, you know, would escape going to jail. I mean, these people were doing things for me free. So we need a lot of people to get involved in this because it don't take, you know, it takes a lot of people to make this work. It's not going to be one person that actually make this work. Like I said, I jumped on an 18-wheeler so that I could just fund the program, use my own money to try to, you know, clothe them. You know, I was out on the streets begging for clothing, food, just to help. Because I was thinking to myself, to be honest with you, I have a 17-year-old. So I wasn't going to save everybody else's kid and let mine go under. So, you know, it's just, I have business cards. If you guys know anybody that need any help, you can just slide on the card. I was in the store the other day and I saw a young lady. She had a black eye. She had a baby. And the guy was on the other aisle. And I walked past her and I noticed that she was kind of crying. She had a black eye. And I asked her, are you in trouble? And she can't let him see her talking to me. So she was like, you know, like kind of like leave her alone or whatever. But I actually slipped her card. If you give them a card and they take it, you know they want out. So I was like, just call me if you need help, you know. Is that your baby daddy? She was like, no. So she's not tied to him in any kind of way. Because I was thinking if it was the dad, then maybe that's the reason why she would still be with him. But those are the things that we have to do in the trenches when you have to go out there and try. And I'm on Harry Hines. So I'm going out there on a Friday night, Saturday night. That's dangerous for me. And that's kind of how I got out of the business and started down on the 18-wheelers. The traffic started looking for me. They were sending me videos with AK-47 and devil swords, machetes, you know, threatening me. So it's like, I have to, I mean, am I gonna risk my, I mean, I'm doing everything, I'm risking my life when I go in the trenches looking for these girls. So, if y'all have any questions after this program, talk to me.
Thank you so much, y'all. Give it up. Thank you so much. You did real good. Listen, I just thank y'all for the work. I thank you guys for the work you've been doing. That's so amazing. Thank y'all. And she's right, because when people are hurt, I tell people this in schools all the time, when people come to school angry, mad, upset, it's not because they're bad. Well, it may be. But that's not the only reason they act like that. Hurt people hurt people. When there's something, like say, where there's smoke, there's fire, that's what that means. So we have to start looking at people as individuals and see what is going on with them to make them want to damage their career, damage their opportunities. A lot of times they self-sabotage. And we look at it as, you don't want to help, then go on. But no, that's hurt. And it has to be processed out. I always give this example to my clients when I'm talking to them about if you got food poisoning and you eat something that doesn't feel good, how else are you going to feel better? You got to get it out. Same is true emotionally about the things that we've been through traumatically. You got to process that stuff out. Otherwise, it stays in and it festers and it comes out in the most angriest, unbecoming way. When I first came home from college in 91, 92, looking for a job is really hard when you first come out of college. You think everybody's going to be looking for you, they ain't thinking about you. So I was everywhere, looking in the classified ads. I'm telling my age. They don't even have it. And the ad said, do you like working with people, having fun, traveling? I was like, yeah, that's me. With my little naive self. I went to that place, which ended up being an apartment. I said, Lord, now this something ain't right about this. There was a nice lady there telling us about how you go and travel and go to the Super Bowl and the NBA All-Star game and you can make all this money. I'm telling you, 20 years old. I'm like, ooh, that sounds nice. Then I said, there's something don't sound right. And you know this was 30 years ago, so all the trafficking hadn't even really started yet. That was the beginning of it. That was the beginning of it. I would have been trafficked. Except the Holy Spirit said, oh, go back to that apartment, girl. You know ain't nobody hiring at no apartment. One of the ways our kids can know is if you're scared to tell somebody, like an adult, it seems suspicious, don't do it. If you're thinking, if I tell my friend I went to an interview at an apartment complex, they're gonna laugh at me, then you know something's wrong. And so I'm serious when I say this, all of us are like this close to have been a victim of something like this. So thank you again, ladies, so much for everything. Constable Gulley, Judge Jackson, Miss Stafford, and Miss Pipkins. We appreciate you. God bless you. Before I turn the program over, I have another event I have to get to in Cedar Hill. But I have to say this. Can you guys commit to supporting them? Can you, everybody, what they're saying is true. I've been a nonprofit for 30 years. It's so hard to get a grant because somehow the money don't funnel over here to me. It just won't. We've tried. We spent a lot of money for grants. And somehow agencies get them, but they're not funneling to the people that need them. These are people, boots on the ground. They can't survive and do it if we don't get behind them and support them. So everybody commit sacrificially today. I know it's not church. I done turned it to church though. It is. 2 or 3. Amen. Let's say give them something before we leave here to contribute. What's your cash app? Okay, so please, y'all, if it's number $5, $10, give something. And whenever you get it and you have it, give it to these young ladies. They shouldn't have to be out here fighting this war on their own. Should they? No. We got to do better as a community and support what we think is important to what? Us. Who else's responsibility is it to take care of us? We can't look for anybody else to take care of us. She said we were wanting to know why wouldn't nobody else do it? God said, I told you about it. You do it. Don't go in and look for nobody else. Now we have a very special guest joining us. I just put a post up about State Representative Sherman just today, because he started a job program, resource to help young people find jobs. Isn't that right? That's new, right off the press. He's always doing something, and that's what we need. We have elected officials here, by the way. Let me ask them if they stand. Judge Audrey Moorhead, we have elected officials that care. We have people in position. Any other? Oh, we have Judge Kim Cooks back there. Yes, in the family court. We have people that care. We have a power within to make a difference. We just have to join in and support each other. Is that right? All right. So, State Representative Carl Sherman is a beast in Austin. And if you don't give him a round of applause for anything else, he endured 2 or 3 extra sessions with those people that are not very nice. He's still smiling. Don't tell me we can't do it. But the God, tell me the truth.
Want to do it?
Won't he do it?
Thank you, Dr. Lankford. And I see Councilwoman Carolyn King Arnold here as well. Thank you so much for your support. I want to thank Ms. Pipkins, Dr. Stafford, Judge Jackson, and Sheriff. take out Sister Brown, because we need her still in office. Okay, we need her still in office. Let me make that very clear. Judge Brown or Chief Brown is a friend. Sheriff Brown is a friend. So I don't want anybody walking away thinking that I was saying that. Don't you start any misinformation. Look, the challenges that we face are serious and real. Each year, 2020, we had 268,884 young women missing. 34% of them are African American women. 90,333 young women, girls and women, go missing and did last year. But we only make up 15% of the population as African American women, and yet disproportionately, we are the ones that are targeted and trafficked. Our daughters, our sisters, our mothers are missing, and no one seems to care except the families. We have to do a better job of protesting these disparities. And I don't know about you, but I found that in order to get things done, after you get off your knees and pray to God, and after you protest, we've got to change policies. So that has brought me to this point where I'm working with Representative Reggie Smith. I hope you'll take his name down, Reggie Smith. He's a man that I believe who cares. He authored legislation that I intend to make some amendments to get this issue on the front burner so that we have equity in the concern and pursuit of getting our missing African American women. Because right now, we're not allocating the same resources. You've heard of missing white girl syndrome. It's a problem. The value of my daughter's life is not seen as the same as Reggie Smith's daughter. And so we have to change that. He and I are working together. But it's going to take you calling his office in Grayson County. I kid with him, Councilwoman Carolyn King Arnold, that really I'm the representative there because he happens to represent Sherman, Texas, and my name is Carl Sherman, and so that's really my domain, but I'm just letting him sit there for a moment. But we need you to call and email him, because the only folks that get things done are people who push for the change. And those 90,333 missing black girls last year need to hear that we care. And we care by making sure that our legislators are accountable to us to ensure that they get the attention that they need. So I hope you will join us on that. Last and finally, I want to just say thank you for your efforts. Keep pushing us on this because it matters. You know, I don't like politics. My chief of staff, Melissa Bradford, who's in the back there, will tell you I don't like politics, and thank you so much for being focused. I don't like politics because there is selective compassion in politics. I remember President Obama in one of my visits to the White House, he said that people just aren't concerned about Pookie as much as they are concerned about Jody and Bubba. We need folks who don't have selective compassion.
That's right.
And that's why, I know this isn't a political speech, but I'm sick and tired of the special interest in the Capitol. So I'm working hard. I hope you'll join me to get Lee Merritt as our new Texas Attorney General. Woo! Because it matters who the Attorney General is.
Yes.
And how these issues get addressed. It matters. We can have an Attorney General that would work with us instead of having one client that he represents, the former president, he would have 30 million, and he would hear the voices of our black girls and black women as we protest for real change. Thank you so much. God bless you. I've got to head down to Austin, where the crazy folks are down there. You know, I look forward to every time we get the opportunity. Please, please, stay engaged with my office too, and we will stay engaged with you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Council. I keep saying that he was the mayor of DeSoto. Now he's going, I know he's going places. Okay, I'll just keep that to myself. Okay, but he's doing an awesome job for us, and that's what we need. We need good representation, and I can assure you that he is definitely qualified and doing the work to make sure that we're represented accurately. I just want to clarify something. I went to the National Black Caucus, or State Black Caucus, a couple years ago, and the reason I was talking about the grants is I heard that they allocated millions of dollars for African American men and the issues that are going on, and I work with them every day, and I never heard of no money coming down. And I'm like, well, where is the money? And that's what I mean when I say we have to look out for our agencies that are really doing the work, because it may not come through the United Way, the ways that we give to other people, and they not get over here. So I'm really serious about us doing that. I am Dr. Keisha Lankford. I am, have been highly happy to serve as your MC today. I will now turn it over to Ms. Jones and Ms. Esther Davis. Can you guys give Ms. Esther Davis a round of applause? Is she not phenomenal? I'm her mini-me. She was my mentor as a child, and I went to college grown, came home grown. I was just grown. Esther Davis, that's it. That's my mentor. And everybody needs a mentor too, by the way. So definitely get one. Ms. Jones of Jones in 2000?
2000 and beyond.
And beyond. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. God bless you.
Thank you. Well, my part of this program, which has been so much information, I have all these fabulous young women here, and I know you have questions. So at this time, we have all these guests up here that you're able to ask your questions. So please, if you have questions now, I've got the mic, I'll come to you. I see you.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me. Thank you for the information, extremely powerful. My name is Arcia Houston. I am your favorite farmer. I'm an agriculturist, and that's what I would love to give to you, to the ladies, maybe that we could grow. I have a nonprofit called Hip Hop Crop Curriculum, which will bring the services. My for-profit, Filthy Rich Nutrients, will bring the products. But we could get a garden started for horticultural therapy, and that's what I would like to add. But I would love to ask the question, because I do also have to go. In the efforts that I'm trying to protect my children, I always have them with their location on. However, how effective is that? That's what I wanted to ask law enforcement, or, how effective is that? Because when I lost my phone, I can't never get right to it. So if I lose my child and I have location on, am I going to be able to get to her? So that's my question. And regarding to entrepreneurship, or when young girls and boys come out of situations that know how to make thousands, it is incomprehensible on, putting them with a job. So maybe the job is not the issue or the answer. Maybe it's entrepreneurship, because they're already hustlers. They're already ready to go. And that job is just not where their personality is. So I think that's a mismatch, and it's an idea that you need to wrap your brain around. They're ready to make money. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can start out with answering that question. I know you can help me as well. I have an app called 360, and I have this on my phone for my daughter's car. She's 16 years old, driving a Mercedes-Benz. I don't know why her father did this, but I knew when I was 16, when my mother told me to go left, I was turning right. So my app goes off. My phone has a personal ding on my phone. When she cranks up her car, if she's at the red light, she's idling up her car. Wherever she is, when she comes downtown with the rest of the crew, where they ride these for these scooters, wherever she is, the app goes off. And I know she she makes curfew, I'll take that back. But when she has to be at home, and it tells me how fast she's going, if she's speeding, I can see what time she gets home. So that's one of the apps that I use. It is very effective, very effective. Did you have?
So there's another app that's called Mama's Bear, and that one's really good. But we just tell you to tell your children to share only the locations with family and friends, close family and friends, not with everybody. Because I share my location, I have a lot of phones, but I share my main location with just my husband, my daughter, my sons, and that's it. I mean, it's not public like that, and that's what these kids are doing today. Is they're sharing their location.
Like, can you get right to the address? You know what I'm saying?
You can.
I'm in an apartment complex. I'm just idling when I get there. You know?
Try Mama's Bear and 360, like she said. You can get directly to them. Those are the apps that are mostly used by parents, and they're very effective.
Are there other questions? Yes, ma'am, in the back. I'll come around to you.
Thank you all for having me. I'm with 41 Organization, and I'm also an Allen County probation officer. The issue that we're having is once we locate the child, we have nobody to come get the child. We need the sheriff department there like ASAP to go in and get, because we can't go in. So if there's any like resources or if you have any ideas on what we can do to get the child, that'd be awesome.
Did someone understand that question?
No, ma'am, I couldn't hear.
She's with welfare. Oh, it's for the one. And the problem that they're having is once the children are there, they get the children, they don't have anywhere to send them to. Or pick them up at all. So is there anything that they might be able to do to assist in that area?
So you're asking so you're asking about assistance with transporting? Oh, okay, so you want help to transport? Oh, okay, yes, you can get in touch with me because we always need transporters. We do background checks and we do all of that because you have to we want you to be safe doing it as well. My daughter helps me to transport and other volunteers help to transport, so that'll be good. So yes, there's always a need to transport, to pick them up. You don't have to go into the locations where they are. Most of the time, Homeland Security will give us a location, and then we just go and get the girls. And boys. Let's not forget boys are trafficked as well. Not just for labor, but they are trafficked for sex purposes as well. So, and we do have male victims.
We have another question.
Hi, I'm Barbara Mallory Carraway, former state representative and city councilwoman. In your programs that you have, what's the longevity? I know you have a safe house. How long are they allowed to stay in your safe house, and what type of programming do you offer or give them?
They stay 2 years, all direct services, counseling, job readiness, clothing, food, everything. We do everything. So I provide direct services up to 2 years, and we do aftercare. So if they are not ready to leave in 2 years, they don't have to leave. And then they go to college as well. We have 2 of them that's in college right now. So they're getting everything that we provide.
If there are 16, if they're running away,
I don't do minors. I don't do a lot of minors. The only time I would do minors if a judge orders them to come with me, and I definitely did one time, and she was 17 years old, and she's 20, she'll be 20. So I don't do a lot of minors. Minors it's difficult, because we have to deal with CPS, and different things like that, so we don't do minors. But we do know people that do minors. Mines are 18 and over, and some are 17-year-olds.
Okay, then I have another question, please.
I was gonna tell you that Promise House, it's, they take minors, they work for CPS, so they do minors. If you can get in touch with a lady named Lindsay Speed with Traffic 911, or SAD, if you can get in contact with some of those organizations, they can direct you to places that work directly with minors.
Does that get that question? I have one here, and then I'll come over to you.
Yes, you guys, I'm William Whitaker with GSR High School High, and I deal with a lot of kids. And I might be able to answer some of these questions that make you feel comfortable with some of the questions that you have. One of the things that I see is the word love. When you spend your time, you tell your kid, your son or daughter, how much you love them, that puts a big impact out from what I see. A lot of the parents, when you get up in the morning, at the last minute to go to work, you have kids. What if you got up maybe an extra half hour, an hour, and tell your son or daughter you love them before you go to work? I guarantee you they come home. So some of the things that we're trying to work with, some of the things that we're looking at, I think that's something positive when it comes to some of these kids. That word, I love you, that is a serious and a powerful word. And that's a lot of these kids, that's all they want to know is that they love. Because my thing is, if your son or daughter is out there running the streets or whatnot, they run the streets out there for something that they want to do. But if you tell them how much you love them, they'll come home. They'll be able to get home.
Okay. We're going to take one more question. And young ladies, I'm just checking. I want to make sure, because I'm right here by you, and I'll bring the mic right to you. So if there are no questions, I'm going to take the last question here. There is food that's being provided. The gracious host. So we've got to have food. So I want you to enjoy, but I know that you've enjoyed all this information. My mouth and my brain is still reeling. So I'm going to take this last question, and we have some announcements that I need to make.
You scared to turn this on? Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Denina Goodwin, and I am senior pastor of Zion Christian Ministries, and former state rep in Louisiana, and founder of a group called Mothers of Murdered Children in the city of New Orleans, where we work on 151 homicides. So I know what you're talking about taking with you when you go someplace, because I take my Bible along with my other friend, if you know what I mean. Hallelujah. I first want to commend you for the bravery of what you are doing, because we're sitting here looking at you now, but I know from working on homicides that it's very dangerous. And then secondly, I'd like to apologize to you on behalf of the church, because we should be the demonstration of love. And some of those pastors, now my colleagues, they'll call me later if word gets around again that I've offended them. Some of those offenders are being introduced by some ministers and some pastors. Do I look like I'm scared? But my question is a legal question, and that is, have we reached a level of legal sophistication whereby we're able to incorporate, as the RICO statute, those persons who are traffickers, as well as usually they're not just doing one thing. It's two or three things, trafficking, drugs. And so my question is, has it been proposed to some of the legislatures, like that young man who left here, Representative Sherman, that we incorporate, because it's only when we put all of these monies and the effect of it together that we then have the enforcement on
the law involved. And thank you so much.
Can anyone answer that from the podium here?
Okay, so, am I saying it?
Yes,
Okay,
you
thank
will,
you.
please.
All right, so with regard to trafficking as an offense, the perpetrators, the laws that are on the books already with regard to perpetrators, they're already there. The issue is location, locating them, and being able to identify them and having the evidentiary base. I hate to get to the legal side, okay? But you have to have enough evidence in order to be able to convict them. The issue is the reasonable doubt standard that applies in crime and the different levels of reasonable doubt standard. And so you have a process whereby those who have been victimized oftentimes will not become a witness. You have a process where those who we call perpetrators, they don't call them perpetrators, that's their family friend. You have a process where those who are actively in trafficking also have a side gig, they have a side hustle, or some kind of way in order to have a dynamic that covers the event of what they are really doing. So it's that kind of a dynamic. It's not as if the law isn't there. It is there. The question is whether or not we have enough eyesight, insight, discernment to be able to recognize the events that are taking place oftentimes right in your face. Look for it. You'll see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
The greatest audience in the world. We'll see you next time on the Ester Davis Show. Thank you.